Hello, we're Matt and Colleen. We have the honour of the last slot on this incredible day. Actually, what an amazing day! Brilliant agenda, full of participation, and let's face it, new hope, and that's what we're dealing with really here. And that is really different to what we experienced actually 12 years ago when we went to probably the first symposium, the first parents conference that was organised by this amazing charity. And we talked about hope, and we're going to talk about it because it's right at the heart of solving kids' cancer. It's our core value, and it's been a huge part of our journey with Felix. Over the last however many years. Or do you want to say something about Felix?
Yeah. So our boy was diagnosed in 2009 with neuroblastoma stage 4. Felix was one of our 3 children. So we had Grace, who was 5 at the time, and Elliot, his identical twin, who was obviously the same age. And I think for all the families that are at the conference today, you well know that feeling of cancer knocking on your door, that diagnosis, and the turmoil and the despair that diagnosis brings. It's relentless. I found that, I think for us, sleep was the only escape we had from the despair and the despair of the diagnosis. Yeah. And waking up, I'm sure many of you can relate to that thunk of, this is real, this is happening. And as a mom in particular, it's that feeling of lack of control. Your child's relying on you to make everything better, the sore tummy, the headache, I'm hungry, I need my nappy changed, and now you've got the enormity of the cancer. When we were in the first 24 hours of diagnosis, we received a call from one of our friends in London. We were at the Royal Marsden and still just in that numb, what the heck is going on here phase. And he said, so guys, how are you with how it is? And that was such a simple statement, but actually it changed the whole course of our journey with Felix, because we were in a situation, like many of you are, where we don't have control on where this cancer is going. But that statement, so how are you with how it is, gave us the control of, well, okay, this has landed on our doorstep. We are dealing with this. We have to move forward and look after him as best we can. But we have a choice on how we're going to be with that. And that was something that I think was a real turning point for us in this completely out of control situation.
Yeah, that really impacted both of us and helped us kind of regain a level of control or authority, didn't it?
Exactly. And then what we were able to do with that statement, how are we going to be with that, how it is, and the choice that we're going to make on that, and just keeping that just enabled us to break down the situation, which is like this daunting protocol, and find the hope with, do we have a problem right now? So not on Wednesday when we get the MIBG results, or next week when we're in stem cell transplant, or the 19 rounds of chemo that are ahead of us. Do we have a problem right now? And invariably, I would put it as a poster in every hospital we were at. And the answer to that question was invariably, no, we don't have a problem. Felix is playing Lego. We're going to watch Star Wars later. We've got dinner planned. The kids are all here. And he was well. So for me and for us, I think pulling ourselves into the present moment was a key part of our hope, because that was the fear that more than the reality, which can drive you into the despair of it.
Yeah, and I think it's true as well. I mean, we both have our own ways of doing it. Everyone has their ways, don't they? Each parent has their ways of coping with this and kind of bringing their own hope into their own lives. Me at the time as well, not just was I kind of spurred on with that kind of wisdom, but I'm a little bit more kind of vacuous in some ways. I go straight to the movies, and some of you will have heard the thing that gave me most hope in many ways was the Shawshank Redemption. and that was Andy Dufresne saying, hope is a good thing, maybe the very best of things. And that was something that I just thought, wow, what a thing to say. He also said, get busy living. And that is exactly what we did. And I think that brought hope into our lives and hope into our kids. We just got on with it. And we never lost that in many ways. I think in my relationship with hope and ours, I mean, I lost it. I lost hope. I lost hope when Felix relapsed, and it was a desperate time. But then I found it again. I found it in the opportunities, the options, the people, the experts, the trials, and I have to say, I've never lost hope since then. We've lost Felix. We lost him in 2011, but we have never ever lost hope, and it still plays a critical role in our lives. And I'm going to say something about my life now, what I do. Obviously, I'm a trustee of Solving Kids Cancer. That gives me an incredible anchor for my life, as well as the kids. Obviously, I love the expertise there. I love the community. I love the research and trials that were never existing really when we were going through this. And I have never been more hopeful. That's how it lives in my life. But I'm sitting next to someone incredibly inspirational, because you've taken it into you've taken hope to a whole new level. So what's that about?
Well, I think for me, like, I couldn't imagine life without Felix. Like, as we were going through our 2.5 years of treatment, intensive, as you know, soul destroying at times. I just couldn't imagine how life was going to be without him. And we got back from Philadelphia. I just missed hospitals. I missed talking to the multidisciplinary team. I mean, at the end, we were dealing with all kinds of specialists, and I missed researching. I missed, like, my big goal had gone, or so I thought, which was the goal of keeping him alive. And I think it was a few weeks after he got back, we were listening to the radio on a car journey, and the NHS announced that they were cutting the funding on midwifery education. So after 72 years of the NHS funding midwifery education, they were cutting it. So I just turned to Matt and I said, I'm going to be a midwife. And I didn't want to be a midwife because I love birth and the whole obstetric kind of side of thing. It was because I missed hospitals, and I knew that hospitals were going to connect me to him, because we had just spent 2.5 years in hospitals. So I've been now a midwife for 6 years, and I'll never forget, like, the first women I supported in labor, which was in the hospital where the boys were born, overlooking the hospital, the children's hospital where Felix had all his maintenance therapy. And I felt extremely connected to him. And I feel like he's a part of I choose to believe that he's a part of my daily job. And I'm good at it because he's around and he's supporting me, and he's just there. And I always, like, when we lost him, I thought, like, I don't want to be that sad lady, that sad old lady that's walking around with a cane, the woman that lost the child, and, you know, no one really goes near because it's all a bit, like, uncomfortable. Here's the mom that lost the child. I wanted him to be someone that, wherever he is, and I have no idea where that is, but I choose to believe that he's looking down on, saying, like, that's my mom. And I love that thought, and I love that hope. And that's what I hold on to. That's what having lost him, that spurs me on, and that's the hope and the drive to be the best mom I can be, even though he's not here.
Yeah, well, he is here in so many other ways as well, isn't
physically,
he?
yeah.
I know that. So that's a lot about hope in our journey, and I'm sure it plays a role in everyone's journeys. Now, sometimes it's really strong, and sometimes you feel you might be losing it a little. But interesting what you're saying about Felix, and we look at in our other kids as well. Well, where else do you go? Where else do you go to find hope? And it's to the kids, isn't it? And that's our final message. It's our incredible children that we're supporting, all the families that we're supporting. But we look to the children because they're the ones who feed us. They're the ones who feed us that level of hope and that level of inspiration. And you know, who better to go to now at the end of this incredible day, but a lovely video of all those amazing kids and the reason we're all here doing this. Thank you very much.
Good luck, everyone.